What's up, y'all? It is Childlike Kate and I am back with a new video. I'm sure a lot of you have been wondering where I've been, what I've been up to, and where I am in this tech journey, so we're gonna get into all of that today. You all have seen me go through a myriad of opportunities and the emotions that came along with them. It all started with Revature, well, on this channel anyway, and then kind of ended with Revature because of the non-compete clause. I have to admit that that whole letdown was my fault for not remembering what I signed in the first place. But losing that opportunity to train and then contract with Skillstorm really broke me down. For a good month and a half, I was just so unsure about what to do with my life. And as someone who's usually quite optimistic and hopeful about the future, I'm surprised that that disappointment took me to such a low, dark place. Thankfully, I can say now that I am no longer in that dark space, but getting out of it did take some making of major decisions on my part, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for a moment there, I was kind of frozen in time, and not even in time because I felt stuck, but at the same time I could feel that time was not stopping for me regardless of my feelings. So I could just feel the time passing me by. I knew that if I did nothing about my situation, then nothing was going to change. So I tried to get back to working as quickly as possible, and that's when I ended up taking the legal admin role that I took. The work was so easy and mundane and required no brain power, and oddly enough, I could see myself staying there. I had just gone through a really rough month mentally, so a part of me wanted to just stay there and not try anymore. A part of me wanted to just settle where I was and fade away into mediocrity. But deep down, I knew that I would be miserable if I did that. I'd be unfulfilled and underpaid and eventually end up more depressed than I already was at the time. So I had to decide what I was going to do. But at that particular point in time, that was easier said than done, because leading up to this, I had made a series of decisions that had just came back and slapped me in the face. Like nothing worked out for me. Quitting jobs, moving, changing careers, starting programs, ending programs. To my mind at the time, all those decisions culminated in me just being confused, depressed, and broke. And with a bad case of decision fatigue. But in spite of how that dark side of me felt, I knew for the sake of my actual sanity, I had to decide what step I was going to take next. After much thought, consideration, prayer, and hesitation, honestly, I decided to return to Revature and move back to Los Angeles. When I retraced my steps and thought about some of the decisions that I'd made over the past year, the last time that I can remember feeling that I was exactly where I needed to be was October of last year, of 2021. That's when I had recently moved to LA and through a series of events found out about Revature. Now I'm fully aware that I cannot go back and redo the past, and this is not an effort to do that. This is me realizing and accepting that this journey is not always linear, the career journey nor the life journey. Sometimes you have to take a step back and survey your surroundings before taking that next step forward. And as you progress forward, hopefully you come to understand that there is no final destination, not even in tech. You land that software engineer job, and then there's still more learning that you have to do. You have to continue to learn, grow, and develop every day of your life, in every part of your life. Now that I've learned this valuable lesson at my big age, I can give myself more grace. I can get off the hamster wheel. I can take my time and enjoy each step of the process, because that's exactly what it is, a process. So now that I've given you a rundown of where I've been mentally over the past few months, let's talk about the present. As I mentioned, I am now back in Los Angeles. So with that, I am no longer in the admin role that I took on a few months ago. It was a hybrid position, and honestly, there's no difference in the work that you do at home or in the office. So I asked them if I could keep my job after relocating across the country, and they said that I couldn't because for that particular role, the requirements were to work in office 60% of the time and at home 40% of the time, which was bogus. So I resigned and we ended on a good note and they wished me well. And if I want to come back to the company in a tech role in the future, I can. But for now, bye y'all. Now, when I decided to rejoin Revoture, I thought the process would be pretty much the same as what it was when I came to them the first time, but I was wrong. They actually had me do their pre-training course that they call Rev Up this time around. They say it takes about 40 to 80 hours to complete, but if you're not a newbie to coding, you will probably get through it faster than that. So while I did already know all of the information within the program, I still took my time and digested it just to like make sure that I was really taking it in. Because also I wanted to be prepared for the paid training once that starts. And I will say that completing that program showed me that I do know a lot more than I have given myself credit for. So I contemplated just going into the job search from there, but I said no, let me stick through it, let me go through the training and, you know, do the whole process, because again, not a race, it's a marathon. Go through the whole process. So I finished the program in about 3 weeks once I actually sat down to do it, because I did put it off for a little bit while contemplating like, do I really want to go back and do this? Is that the right thing to do? But when I finally decided to, it took me about 3 weeks. I finished the final project the week of Thanksgiving, right before the mentors who grade the projects were off for the rest of the week. So it actually took a few days for me to get feedback on my project. And so that's the only reason that I'm not actually outside of the Rev Up course, because I did get feedback of something that they wanted me to correct in my project before they approve it. And once that's approved, I would go on to the mock interview and then get a training start date. However, we have a little Discord channel for Rev Up, and one day someone posted about their start date being delayed. They were supposed to start mid-December and their start date got pushed back to like mid to late April, I think. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So I asked my recruiter about it, and he said there's a large influx of people coming to Revoture now, more than the projects that they have at the time. So they're having to push back start dates to kind of accommodate the supply and demand. So he said I would likely not start until about March. So knowing this information, I'm actually at a crossroads about what I want to do next, because I don't want to sit around for 3 months waiting to start training when I have other options. Another thing that completing the Rev Up course taught me is that I have the discipline to complete a self-paced, self-taught program. Before, I did try that route and it didn't work for me because there was so much I didn't know. So it was hard to have the motivation to come back to it every time I would get stuck. And honestly, I just lacked the discipline, quite frankly, at that time. But completing the Rev Up program showed me like you could definitely do this with the right self-paced course. So I am still going to submit my final project, because my recruiter did say you might get a date for March is what it's looking like, but there's a possibility that you can start earlier than that. I don't know if I want to take my chances though. The next step I'm trying to decide for myself is what I want to study in the meantime of waiting for training to start, and that's if I do go through with it. I'm trying to decide if I want to stick with back-end development, which is what I know most, or switch to web development, which would be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I am most comfortable with Java, but most of the self-paced programs out there focus on web development versus back-end. Like, I haven't really seen anything on Java. I did watch this recent video by Pirate King about how he would advise getting into tech, and that was to learn a language. His suggestion was Python. Build projects, learn data structures and algorithms, do lead code, and then start applying. So I've also contemplated, if I'm going to stay on backend, would I prefer to switch to Python? I have done a little Python and it is simpler than Java, but I already know Java and I'm comfortable with Java and the syntax, so it's not a problem for me. So do I really need to switch? Staying the course with Java seems like it would probably be the path of least resistance, because I could technically follow Pirate King's advice just with Java instead of Python. So since I already know coding in Java, the next step for me would just be to build a couple of good projects. So I'm thinking I will take my final project from RevUp, because RevUp does teach you Java, it focuses on Java. Add that to my portfolio once I finish it, and then build another project or two, and then move on to the next step of really understanding data structures and algorithms, which I feel like I have a decent understanding of after the college courses that I took, but I could use a refresher. Now that I've said all this out loud, I think sticking with Java makes the most sense, but I would still like to know what you guys think. If I switch to web development, I can find more community. I wouldn't be just on this journey and building projects alone and trying to find help. I could do 100 devs and they have a Discord channel and there's other people doing the same work that I can reach out to. And I believe Pirate King said that he actually has a course or tutorial or something of that nature, curriculum, to help with Python. So I'm sure even within that there's some sort of community. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think I should do. So that's it for this video. Again, I want to thank you all so much for going along on this journey with me and encouraging me along the way. We've still got a ways to go, but I'm okay with that because I understand that you have to take it one step at a time. Take your eyes off of the end of the road and focus on your feet right in front of you. Thank you to everyone who commented on my videos, who have reached out to me on Instagram, who have reached out to make a more personal connection. It really does mean so much to me and helps me to continue to move forward on this journey. Anyway, I love you all. I will see you in the next video. Bye.